from Steve Mnuchin today. For more, let's cross to Gary Grappo, who's the former U.S. Deputy Chief of Mission in Saudi Arabia. He joins us now from Denver. Thank you very much for joining us, Ambassador. Do you think the White House is trying to cover this up on behalf of the Saudis, in particular on behalf of the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman?
Well, thank you for having me on the program. At this point in time, I would not say they're trying to cover up. Probably along with the Saudis, they're trying to find a convenient exit for the Saudis from this very, very difficult situation, which I would actually describe as a crisis, most definitely for the Saudis, but increasingly for the United States, too, in terms of our foreign policy and how we're perceived abroad.
So is there an option that would, as John Soper was just saying there, thread indeed this needle, where you could preserve the relationship with what has been a very important ally for the United States in a very difficult region for decades, and also expose the truth of what happened? Or are the two, if Mohammed bin Salman was indeed involved in this, or are the two mutually exclusive?
I wouldn't say they're mutually exclusive. I think threading the needle is on the point. It's going to be extremely difficult, given what we know already from publicly released information, for the Saudis to find an exit without paying a very, very high price in terms of identifying those who are responsible and holding them accountable. I don't think this administration, I don't think any U.S. administration could allow itself to fall into a situation in which they would tolerate or go along with, collaborate with the Saudis in any effort to cover up. And if they were to try to go down that road, it would be revealed, I think, fairly quickly by a lot of intrepid journalists who are out there following this. And so the best advice I could probably give to this administration is go immediately to the high ground. Go with what we have as our values and push the Saudis hard to do a truly comprehensive investigation with all the information at hand, and to hold all of those, and I want to underscore all of those who are responsible for this, accountable.
Gary, I know you've said on the record before that actually if you look back at the long history of this relationship, the United States has always flagged human rights abuses. But do you think perhaps the reticence that there's been within the White House in the last 18 months to criticize Saudi Arabia on human rights grounds, has that led to this situation?
There's certainly a question, because it would appear that the United States has almost deferred to the Saudis, and specifically to the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, in handling the affairs of Saudi Arabia in the Gulf. And we've seen repeated incidents of highly questionable judgment, whether it's the perpetuation of this horrific civil war in Yemen, the unjustified and quite frankly irrational blockade of Qatar, a fellow GCC member, in the Gulf, the detention of the Lebanese prime minister, the detention of senior Saudi officials and business executives, all pointing to, as I said, very suspect judgment. Nevertheless, the administration seems comfortable with letting the Saudis handle some pretty weighty issues in a part of the world that's quite critical, not only for the United States, but most of our allies around the world. And it's quite possible that the Saudi leadership read into this that they would have a fairly free hand in going after the very well-known journalist Jamal Khashoggi.
Gary Grappo, fascinating. Thank you very much for being with us from